Hey guys, thanks for coming to Open Table today to continue the conversation through the book of Psalms. Open Table is a place for people who have questions and are ready to seek answers. So feel free to ask the hard questions, to disagree, and to share your thoughts openly for the purpose of better understanding God and the Bible. Let's get going. So, just to refresh, we've been studying Psalms to see how David interacted with God through prayers and songs. He had moments of difficulty and even questioning, but he was not afraid to approach God with whatever he was thinking or feeling. Last week, we discussed how God is our help. This week, we're going to take a look at God as our refuge. Now, refuge is defined as a condition of being safe or sheltered from pursuit, danger, or trouble, something providing shelter. We're going to further explore this today, but first, let me ask you this. Would you rather be able to fly whenever you want or be invisible? So let's get started. In David's life, God continually showed up to rescue him, whether it be from a lion, a giant, or even his own son. Psalm 71, which we're going to be talking about today, was thought to have been written in his old age. Nearing the end of his life, his son revolted against him and attempted to take his kingdom by force. I can imagine how he may have felt saddened as he was being pursued by his son. But David starts off his song declaring that God is his rock and his refuge. He knows that God in his righteousness can deliver him from anything he may face. Let's read Psalm 71, 1-3. In you, O Lord, do I take refuge. Let me never be put to shame. In your righteousness, deliver me and rescue me. Incline your ear to me and save me. Be to me a rock of refuge to which I may continually come. You have given the command to save me, for you are my rock and my fortress. We may not face the same difficulties as David. However, there will come a time when we may need a place of safety like he did. Whether it be during a difficult moment in our family life or even a rough time at school. Just like David, we have the hope that God can and will be our safe place. Let's start discussion time now. Question 1. As Americans, what do you think we need to be rescued from? All right, so sometimes when we're faced with a trying situation, we forget that, like David, we have a place of refuge in our God. David continues to express the hope he has in God alone. He acknowledges that it's God who had his hand on his life, even from birth. Let's read verses 5-9. For you, O Lord, are my hope, my trust, O Lord, from my youth. Upon you I have leaned from before my birth. You are he who took me from my mother's womb. My praise is continually of you. I have been a portent to many, but you are my strong refuge. My mouth is filled with your praise and with your glory all the day. Do not cast me off in the time of old age. Forsake me not when my strength is spent. Now he says, I have been a portent to many. Portent means David was a man that was revered. The people of Israel held their king in high regard for most of his reign. But then he goes on to say, but you are my strong refuge. He knows that any accomplishment he has made in his life is because God has been his strength and place of shelter. David continues to ask the Lord to show his faithfulness in his old age. God was faithful throughout his entire life, and David knew where to go in his time of need and desperation. Throughout your own life, you will have high highs and low lows, but it's important to remind yourself that it's because of his righteousness and mercy that we are able to succeed in our moments of accomplishment, as well as find shelter in our hard times. God promises to be our safe place, just as he was to David. So let's talk about this. When have you seen God's hand of rescue on your life? Oftentimes, we fail to see God protecting us in our time of difficulty until we are once again in a better place. David teaches us the importance of remembering how God has shown his faithfulness in our lives. He understands the purpose of his life. He knows that he must share God's faithfulness to the future generations. The next generation would need to know that they could also run to a safe place in their time of distress. In verses 14 through 18, he says, "But I will hope continually and will praise you yet more and more. My mouth will tell of your righteous acts, of your deeds of salvation all the day, for their number is past my knowledge. With the mighty deeds of the Lord God I will come. I will remind them of your righteousness, yours alone. O God, from my youth you have taught me, and I still proclaim your wondrous deeds. So even to my old age and gray hairs, O God, do not forsake me until I proclaim your might to another generation, your power to all those who come." We are called to be the light of the world, to share God's faithfulness and redemption to the world around us. And it starts now, in your youth. As we grow in our relationship with God, it's important to recognize his hand at work in our lives. He's constantly trying to gain our attention, to reveal to us how much he loves us, so that we may understand and then share the goodness of God. Discussion question number 3 says, what would your life look like when you're older if you allow God to be your place of safety now as a student? Now, as we go on this week, my prayer for you is that God will show you how he is your hiding place, not just this week, but throughout the rest of your life. Take some time this week to reflect on the times that you recall God being a safe place in your life. Thanks for hanging out today, and remember, you can always continue the conversation with your table leader or even your family. See you next week.